One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. Now let me be free.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges. A host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart steel and a spirit unbroken. He rides onto wheels ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar, insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only metal can bestow. He takes his stand, refusing to submit. Insane wheels hear his battle cry. Metal and mayhem will never die. Rituals report he pays his way. Oh, legend in the making, day by day.
Well, we all made it to a happy freaking topless Taco Tuesday, man. Let's go. Great to see everyone in the chat, man. We've got a lot to discuss. Obviously, as you guys can see, Trump-Iran nuclear talks, as well as government shutdown day 4. Yes, it is today, the official 4th day. Search for Nancy Guthrie and more. So let me go ahead and just show you guys what we're going to be discussing this morning. First thing we're going to be talking about is all ICE and CBP, Border Patrol, officers in Minneapolis to wear body cameras, Noam says. That's a big deal. That's a humongous deal, actually. A lot of people are like, hey, why don't we just have these body cams on these federal agents? And I was like, well, I don't know if they'll ever do that shit, but I did say I hope they do that shit, and sounds like they're going to at least start with Minneapolis, anybody that's up there in the regards of agents. And then we've got Trump's full remarks, but we're not going to actually play his full remarks because obviously he talks forever. But nonetheless, there is something that we need to highlight about critical minerals. Trump talked about critical minerals and basically government protection for businesses that are needing minerals. And there's been times that companies have fell completely through where they've lost it all because of gold or silver or whatever the case is. And so he's kind of like, Trump is designating a certain like vault, quote unquote, to basically bail out companies if needed, essentially. And then we have Trump responds to Epstein Files question and Trevor Noah as well. We have that for you guys. Another interesting development that happened yesterday, something that I wanted to highlight. I know a lot of Republicans don't want to talk about it, but that this is the way of the road. Who cares about left, right, whatever? We care about what is. And so House GOP majority shrinks as Johnson swears in Democrat Christian Menifee. Shit.
Stupid.
Shit.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Yes, that did happen yesterday. We have a little bit of an update on the Epstein files, and Bill and Hillary Clinton agreed to testify before Congress. Yes, that did happen. They confirmed that yesterday, I believe right after we got off the show yesterday morning. 3 hours ago, we have NASA delays Artemis 2 mission to March after hydrogen leak. They found a humongous hydrogen leak, I guess. And as you guys know, hydrogen is highly explosive. Can't be having hydrogen leaks at all, or leaks in general. And then we also are going to get into Iran, like I mentioned to you guys. Iran agrees to nuclear talks with Trump amid tensions. Now it says Iran is tentatively agreeing to restart nuclear talks with the U.S., aiming to avoid the risk of more military strikes. This would be the first such talks since last summer, when the Trump administration bombed 3 of Iran's nuclear sites. Over the weekend, explosions were reported in Iran, and new activity was spotted at the country's nuclear facilities. All right, and then we have just an hour ago, GOP leader, which is Mike Johnson, seeks support ahead of test vote to end partial government shutdown. Now, we did talk about this government shutdown when it came out, and we discussed that it could be closing up as soon as today, which I don't see that necessarily happening. I really don't put a lot of stock into when these things are going to end, even if a Speaker of the House or whatever the case is, I don't care really what they say. I know what is happening in the landscape, and this could be a struggle bus. Now, they got to definitely figure out how to play this. And then we have just an hour ago as well, Iran's president seeks, quote, fair and equitable negotiations with the United States. So we've got a lot of updates regards of Iran this morning. So I very much appreciate all of you guys. Make sure you guys come in and hit that like button. It helps out the show immensely, and it's free to do so. If you guys are brand new to the channel, make sure that you guys hit that subscribe button, because this is what we do Monday through Friday, and then we have Saturday mornings for members only, man. Double tap that screen if you're on that vertical side. I very much appreciate that. Let's go ahead and get into the money part, though. Please consider becoming a member starting only at $3.99 a month. We're making sure we're not breaking the bank out there with anybody, but check it out. It's what allows us to be on these airwaves as well as have these lights on. So I very much appreciate you guys becoming members and staying members. Little side note, follow my Instagram at BallValveTV, where I post everything behind the scenes of not only my life, but as well as the show, Millennial Food Time, breaking news, as well as the campaign trail. So make sure you guys show up for that, man. Very much appreciate you guys. It's a great way to get a hold of me one-on-one. We also have a Discord server. The link will be down in the description down below of any live video that we do for all of the links. And last but not least, for the call to actions, every super chat, super sticker, gifted membership, and membership sign up are, of course, going to be presented live onto the show and shouted out. But if you guys would like to skip that YouTube 30% brutal cut that they take from your hard-earned cash, then we have these platforms that you guys can donate to. They're scrolling around the screen. And listen, I'll read them out loud just like a super chat. It's a great way to go ahead and insert your voice into the conversation, man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, great to see everyone in here. We've got all you legends. I'm very appreciative to have you guys in here. We've got Alfred Patterson, as well as TNT and Jimmy Mack. Good morning, you guys. We got Steve Easy and Warland. Good morning. Great to see you guys. We've got Rabbit of Chaos and Crystal, which is the like button, by the way. Yes, make sure you guys hit that like button. We got Two Wheel Jesus as well, and Steve Posey. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. We got Sicko Smoke, as well as Zip Tie. Thank you guys for hanging out this morning. I very much appreciate it. Yes, I did see him, Sicko Smoke. We got Josh Phillips up in the building, as well as Big Bizquick. Good morning to you guys. Thank you for being here. We got Charles Darwin from Down Under down there in Australia. Very much appreciate it. Carney's Ride as well, and Motobomb Virginia. By the way, he gave us a raid this morning. I'm very appreciative of the coffee crew, man. Thank you for that. Motobomb, Sick Bastard, Old Max, Sterling Wheel, the crew, man. You know what I mean? That's what we're talking about. Real quick, I see that we got a gifted membership. Sterling Wheel is starting out the gate, gifting out a membership. Not only helping me, but helping someone in the Breakfast Club, man. I very much appreciate that. Thank you for that. We got Seymour Cannabis as well as Pablo. Thank you guys for hanging out. We got Kel as well up there in Canada. We're scrolling down. We got Sterling saying, good morning, kids. Yes, sir. And yes, we definitely have our what I will call our left-handed tobacco, or our counterclockwise tobacco. Feels good. And no, thank you. I very much appreciate you, my man. All right, we're going to get into this. We got a lot to discuss. We've got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 stories to get through this morning, so we got to get right to it.
Also, some big news coming in just recently about the Department of Homeland Security, as Kristi Noem announcing that body cams will be worn by all ICE and Border Patrol agents effective immediately. President Trump there also mentioning that here in the Oval Office. This is the post on social media from Kristi Noem saying, I just spoke with...
Real quick, before he reads what Kristi Noem says, Warland coming in and gifting out a membership as well, bro. Thank you very much for that. I know that people are very appreciative, just like I am, of you for doing that. Thank you.
With Border Czar Tom Homan, the ICE director, the Border Patrol commissioner, and effective immediately, we are deploying body cameras to every officer in the field in Minneapolis. As funding is available, the body camera program will be expanded nationwide. We will rapidly acquire and deploy body cameras to DHS, law enforcement across the country, the most transparent administration in American history. Thank you to the president, President Trump there, alluding to that, saying that it's, quote, good for law enforcement. And this comes after all that has transpired in Minneapolis. A live picture there in a frigid.
Now, I'm going to be honest. That's a humongous W for Americans.
Twin Cities.
I think, and I honestly, not only is it a W for Americans, but I think it's a W for law enforcement / the feds as well. I think that transparency is key, and we have the technology such as body cams and stuff like that. We should be able to have that so that we can review that footage later. If there's anything questionable or they want to investigate further of how things were dealt or whatever the case is, it's not going to be as much hearsay from both sides. It'll just be evidence.
As we're learning the body cams now for every officer in that federal workforce, ICE, Border Patrol.
Oh, man, Mount Woman. Great to see you in the chat, though. Hopefully you're able to get all of that finished.
Following the deadly shootings of Alex Preddy and Renee Good. So obviously the Department of Homeland Security in their investigation following the shooting of Alex Preddy said they were looking at, in the investigation, some body cam footage used by officers involved in that interaction, in that situation. As immigration operations, they continue in Minnesota.
And we got Naomi. Good morning to you. Great to see you in the chat.
We're learning more information about all of this as DHS funding, the center point of what's going on with the ongoing government shutdown, a potential negotiation underway. If this 2 weeks CR, continuing resolution, the stopgap continues to move forward. So we're learning that here on Live Now from Fox in terms of that body cam, but also information out of Hennepin County, the county that Minneapolis and the Twin Cities, they sit in, as the medical examiner also ruled today that Alex Preddy's death as a homicide, noting he died of multiple gunshot wounds, which is obviously...
Yes, they did rule it as a homicide.
Not surprising, but some big developments there in Minneapolis as we enter a new month this February.
President, Kristi Noem just announced that you're deploying body cameras to Minneapolis. What's your thinking behind this decision, and do you want to see this?
Well, it wasn't my decision. I would have, I leave it to her. They generally tend to be good for law enforcement because people can't lie about what's happening. So
exactly. That's a W take from Trump as well.
It's generally speaking, I think 80% good for law enforcement. But if she wants to do that, I'm okay with it. Remember one thing, we closed the border. I got elected on...
That's a weird statement on the 80% thing, but I think it's good for everybody.
A disastrous border. And we have nobody coming in through our border anymore. We had 25 million people come in 4 years through our border. Many of them were murderers and drug dealers and mentally insane from mental institutions and insane asylums. And now we don't have anybody coming in. For 9 months now, I mean, they actually report zero. We have 0 people coming in, which I find hard to believe, but the Democrats do that report. They tend to be left-leaning that do that report. So I assume it's true. And if it's not, it's a very tiny amount of people. But we basically have a tremendously perfect, strong border. And also crime levels are at the lowest point they've been in 125 years. Since 1900, we have the best numbers. And that's despite the fact that we had a lot of criminals and murderers. 11,888 murderers came in. And we have the lowest numbers that we've had in 125 years. So,
all right.
So we're doing a good job. If she wants...
That's all there is here.
To do the camera thing, that's okay with me.
That's okay with him, he said. All right, so sounds good. All right, we're going to move on. We got full remarks from Trump talking about yesterday. He had he took questions inside the Oval Office as well as doing like a signing ceremony or whatever the case is. But Trump did talk about critical minerals and takes questions inside the Oval Office. We're not going to play the whole thing because obviously these events go on for like 30 plus minutes, sometimes 40, sometimes an hour, whatever the case is. But today it's 33 minutes and we're not going to play the whole thing. Obviously, we're going to get to the point and hear what he has to say in the opening, which is usually what's going to be the important part here. And then we'll go from there.
All right, welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox. And out of nowhere, President Trump inside of the Oval Office signing potentially an executive order. Let's listen into this here on Live Now from Fox on this Monday.
Years, the president did a lot of talking, but they didn't do anything. Over the past year, my administration...
Brother Extra Surprise, great to see you in the chat, my man. Good morning.
Administration has taken extraordinary steps to make sure the United States has all of the critical minerals and rare earths that we need. We're investing in mining projects, we're expediting federal permitting. The federal permitting, and a lot of it is Lee Zeldin has been fantastic, but federal permitting is such a big deal. And we're doing that. The permanent.
Real quick, by the way, before he gets all into it, we've got 238 people in here. Make sure you guys hit that like button, as well as double tap the screen if you're on the vertical side. You don't necessarily have to like all the craziness in the world, but you guys can like it for me and what we do here. So I'm very appreciative of your laborious work.
Of mines and signing major critical mineral deals with countries from all over the world, and we're getting along with all of them. Every one of them, they want to be in the proper position. We're working very well with countries from all over the world today. We're building on these achievements with this vital new reserve. And now I would like to ask Ex-Im Chairman John Yovanovitch to say a few words, followed by our friends from business in Congress. We'll go over that. But we have some great business leaders.
Brother Provo in the chat as well. Shout out to my man. Good morning.
The best here today. And John, if you would start it off, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. The President gave us a very clear directive. By clear directive, it was much more of an order for us to figure out how to, for the first time in American history, create a strategic critical minerals reserve in a way that would benefit the non-military manufacturing complex. And the challenge was enormous, not simply because it had never been done before, Mr. President, but we knew that you
What's up, Beezer? Good morning. Happy Topless Taco Tuesday.
expected us to deliver in a big way, in a way that was scalable, in a way that was designed for long-term success, and in a way that would help revitalize our domestic mining industry. But most importantly, most crucially, that it not be subsidized by American taxpayers. And so that's exactly what we've done. Mr. President, what you've announced today is a truly uniquely American solution. It brings together our capital markets, which are the best and biggest in the world, with our manufacturers, our innovators, our miners, all pitching in to make this possible. Now, these things don't happen without the best and the brightest within industry being at the table. And Mr. President, everyone wants to engage with this administration, with your administration. The key ingredient here was your call to action. Your call to action allowed us to bring together the best players in the market, sometimes the fiercest competitors, getting them to work together to come up with a creative solution. Now, in addition to our great team at the Export-Import Bank, who worked around the clock, led by Brian Greeley, Jeff Wilson, Sarah Whitten, and many others.
That's a good question, TNT. Well, shit.
We benefited from having the biggest manufacturing CEOs, the smartest market players at the table, all looking to solve this problem. So what we have with Project Vault is marrying the capital solution with what we need when we need it most. And the best part about it is that the American taxpayer will earn a return on financing the first ever strategic critical minerals reserve in history. And we thank you, Mr. President, for allowing this to happen. All of the people around us today helped make it possible. Our cabinet secretaries, our top CEOs, their teams.
So the actual name of this, basically this government insurance for business, is called Project Vault. That's what it's called.
Top market players, whether it be GM, GE Vernova, Boeing, Clarios, Google, Mercury.
They were mine.
We're going to skip ahead here. We're going to skip ahead and see if we can get final thoughts from Trump here as he does the sign. He's almost there. Man, these guys are all taking up a little time. Look, he's just like, oh my God, can we get this shit over with?
Oh shit! Chairman Powell to help. Senator Tillis has basically said that he's not going to really be
taking questions. I see. So at this point, he's taking questions. Is there any other? I'm trying to see where the actual signing is, if they got it on here. Nope. Doesn't look like it. Okay, so it's a new program that provides American businesses with critical minerals. That's essentially what it is. It's a kind of like an insurance. Okay, Trump responds to Epstein files questions, or question, and Trevor Noah. I'm not really sure what they're what they're talking about with Trevor Noah. Let's go ahead and bring this up. Oops. Yes, this is correct. So out of that little thing that we were just watching, there is a question about Epstein files. So I wanted to hear that question, and here it is.
You alluded that something could be coming.
Yeah, well, he said that I spent time on Jeffrey Epstein's island. I didn't. I mean, he's a lightweight. This guy is a terrible. I think he's terrible. I thought he did a terrible job at the Grammys. I thought the whole Grammys was terrible. I watched part of it. It's not watchable. But he was a lousy host. I'd say not as bad as Jimmy Kimmel, but pretty close. And no, he made a statement about me and Jeffrey Epstein. I have nothing to do with that. I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. And in fact, if you look at the DOJ, they announced, they released 3 million pages. It's like this is all they're supposed to be doing. And frankly, the DOJ, I think, should just say, we have other things to do, because that whole thing has turned out, I mean, other than Bill Clinton and, Bill Gates and lots of people that have There are a lot of questions about it, but nothing on me. But it was even sort of better than that because they found that Jeffrey Epstein and this sleazebag writer named Michael Wolff were conspiring against Donald Trump to lose the election. So Epstein was conspiring with a writer for me to lose the election. So right there, you know that I had nothing to do with this guy. But yeah, it's a terrible thing. The amount of time that's being wasted. You know, when Epstein was alive, like 10 years ago, nobody cared about it. But they're only doing it. But now it's really hitting back on them because Bill Clinton is such a big part of it. The Democrats are pushing it. And the problem is that it's turning out to be the Democrats that were with and conspired with Epstein. So I think you're probably going to see a little pullback from them. But think of it. They were working together to try and help me lose the election. But this is the Oval Office, so I guess that didn't work out too well. Okay, one more question.
Mr. President, do you have an update on U.S. troop level in Europe? Are you planning any force reductions?
Now, we have a great relationship with Europe. We have a great relationship with our troops. You know, one of the best things that I can say is that if you go back a year and a half ago, so I'm running for election, they had the worst recruitment numbers in the history of our country. Nobody wanted to join the military, or nobody wanted to join the police. Nobody wanted to join the fire departments. We couldn't get anybody to be a proud member of our country. And now, Doug, as I told you before, now we have the best recruiting numbers that we've ever had in our military. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Space Force we love, and Coast Guard. I love the Space Force, it's doing great. But now we have waiting lists on everybody wants to join. You know why? Because people are proud of our country, because our country is doing great. I think Mary can say the same thing. You had lots of people not working so well, and now you just wish you could get them in faster. I know that it's hard to get them.
Yeah, we continue to bring people in and have training programs. We're
Right.
investing in the U.S.
Training
workforce.
people.
Yes.
But 2 years ago, you didn't see anything like this. It's amazing what's happened. So we have the #1 in the history of our country. We've never had more people that want to join our armed forces than we do right now. And a year and a half ago, nobody wanted to join. They were embarrassed by our country. They were embarrassed by our leadership. And now they're proud of our country. They're very proud of our leadership, and a lot of the leadership is right behind me. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, press. Thank you, press.
Well, he says, thank you, everybody. That means it's over. Real quick, we got Brother Slim up at the building. Shout out to my man. Hopefully you're enjoying your morning so far. I definitely know that we are. Guys, we're going to move on into House GOP majority shrinks as Johnson swears in Democrat Christian Menefee. So this is another U.S. House of Representatives that's coming in as a Democrat into the House. So real quick, make sure you guys hit the like button, by the way. We have 487 people in here. Make sure you guys double tap that screen and all of that. Listen, you guys don't have to like the craziness that's happening around the world, but you guys can like it for me and what we do here. So, all right, let's go ahead and get into this. And also, you know what we haven't done yet? We haven't even done the money part, bro. That's unfortunate.
All right, just get the money part done.
Give me money. Money me. Money now. Me a money needing a lot now.
All right, that is true, though.
Denied.
All right, let's get into it.
Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. Before the break, we watched the swearing-in ceremony for the new Texas Representative Christian Menefee. We have House Speaker Mike Johnson and Representative-elect Menefee right now taking some photos. Let's see if we can hear them. Maybe we'll get another speech.
We have a 1-vote margin now, so what could go wrong? That's fine. We're happy for him, though. And I hope the first vote is not to shut the government down. That's not a good way to start.
You know, I just got elected on Saturday and just jumped off the plane to get here. So my first job is to figure out where the bathroom is. But no, look, I think the people of the 18th Congressional District sent me here to
That's an interesting comment to make. I just need to know where that bathroom was first. Shit. You know what I mean?
Oh, shit! Oh, shit!
He looks fairly young.
vote the conviction of my values, and I plan to do that. But I'm just very grateful to the Speaker for getting me.
And he's coming out of Texas, by the way.
Sworn in. Our seat had been left open for far too long, and I think that it just represents the worst of politics when stuff like that's happened. So I'm very grateful to the Speaker for this moving quickly, and I look forward to getting to work.
Does that mean a no vote tomorrow?
It means I'm going to consider the issues very thoughtfully and cast a vote that matches my.
He's good, right? Good answer.
Thank you all so much.
Well, let me say real quick, I told him how much we had in common, having read his bio. Not only is we were both the first in our family to go to college, first lawyers in our family. Right? Yeah. And he was just holding up a Bible that's the exact same one that I had as a child. That was his childhood Bible, and so this is a good man here. Well, you have a great career. Welcome.
I appreciate it.
You got it. Sure. Thank you, Ryan.
Wow, that was actually way more diplomatic than I thought it was going to be. All right, that's it for that. We're going to move on into Epstein files regards to Bill and Hillary now. Bill and Hillary Clinton agreed to testify before Congress. Yes, this did hit the news yesterday, right after the show that we did yesterday. But let's go ahead and bring this up and discuss this aspect. It's very short.
Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm Shauna Kalafi. We are following some breaking news tonight. Bill and Hillary Clinton have agreed to testify in the House Oversight Committee's investigation into convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. For months, the Clintons had been adamant that they would not comply with the subpoenas. They called them invalid and legally unenforceable. However, they have now agreed to testify. That is according to their attorneys. We have this from Fox News on X. They said just in, former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton have agreed to testify in the House Oversight Committee's Jeffrey Epstein investigation after lawmakers moved towards holding them in criminal contempt of Congress.
Damn.
This is coming just days before the House was expected to vote to hold them in contempt of Congress. So Bill and Hillary Clinton now agreeing to testify in the Epstein investigation. We also want to bring you this statement. This is from Bill Clinton's Deputy Chief of Staff sharing this on X. He said, "They negotiated in good faith. You did not. They told you under oath what they know, but you don't care. But the former president and former Secretary of State will be there. They look forward to setting a precedent that applies to everyone." Again, former President Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton now agreeing to testify in the House Oversight Committee's investigation into
What's up, Prez? Good morning.
Convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. We'll continue to follow that as the
And of course, that's what we do too. We follow these stories, obviously. Real quick, because you guys didn't get the money part in, I need you guys to obey.
Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Donate. Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Donate. Maybe you need to donate some freaking money. Donate some freaking.
All right, that is true, though. That is very true.
Denied.
All right, we're moving into NASA delays Artemis 2 mission to, or however you say it, I'm sorry, mission to March after hydrogen leak. So, I mean, as you guys know, hydrogen is extremely explosive. And yeah, that's a big problem with any type of leak if you're going to space. I mean,
down to new developments from earlier today. Astronauts are getting ready for their Artemis 2 mission, but a test run of that launch was terminated. I do want to head out to our partners at Fox 35 in Orlando. Matt Trezza joining us live with more of those details. Matt, good morning.
Cough right into the mic.
Good morning. So the Artemis rocket is still out on the launch pad. We have a beautiful sunrise here in Brevard County, and if you look across the water from me, you can see very brightly lit up right on the end of the horizon there, that white structure. That is the Artemis rocket. It's enormous.
What's up, Stax? Good morning.
I've never been able to clearly see a rocket from this vantage point before. So that just shows you how big it is and how it is still out on the launch pad there. They did have to terminate the countdown at T-minus 5 minutes. 15 seconds because they detected a hydrogen leak. And of course, NASA very concerned about these things, wanting to make sure that every step of the process is tightly controlled. That's not something that they planned for, and they had to terminate the countdown. Now, the agency says the leak is, let me make sure that I get this right here, has to do with a leak of liquid hydrogen somewhere near the umbilical. That is a line that connects the rocket to the launch pad. It says that it also had seen high concentrations of liquid hydrogen earlier in the service mast umbilical, earlier in the countdown. Now, they say launch control was working to make sure that the Space Launch System rocket is in a safe configuration and started draining its tanks. Now, Artemis 2 is a crewed test mission around the far side of the moon, the first manned mission to the moon in 53 years, and space experts say it's an exciting time, but the NASA...
Wow, I didn't know that they were actually going to try for, you know, not just space travel and all that stuff, blah, 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 but to do a moon landing. Interesting.
The team has to make sure things go according to plan.
The wet dress rehearsal is one of the last steps that really says this rocket is ready to go. So it's a rehearsal that doesn't involve the crew in the rocket at all, but it does involve doing almost everything else that leads up to launch.
And
there was also a tweet from Jared Isaacman. He's the NASA administrator. He said, with more than 3 years between SLS launches, we fully anticipated encountering challenges. It's precisely why we conduct a wet dress rehearsal. These tests are designed to surface issues before flight and set up launch day with the highest probability of success.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that they actually caught that shit, obviously. Okay, so we're going to move on into Iran, though. Iran agrees to nuclear talks with Trump amid these tensions. So let's go ahead and bring this up. And also, they get a little bit into the explosions that happened. So I'll read this real quick. Iran is tentatively agreeing to restart nuclear talks with the U.S., aiming to avoid the risk of more military strikes. This would be the first such talks since last summer when the Trump administration bombed 3 of Iran's nuclear sites. Over the weekend, explosions were reported in Iran and new activity was spotted at the country's nuclear facilities. So,
I do want to start with some latest developments regarding possible negotiations between the U.S. and Iran. Taking us out to this, the live image that we have at the White House over in Washington, D.C. The Associated Press,
and this just came out today, by the way,
saying this, that Iran's president says he's instructed the country's foreign minister to, quote, pursue fair and equitable negotiations with the United States. The first clear sign from Tehran, it wants to negotiate.
Yeah, I see it stream, you know, I don't know what the ordeal is. My stream is actually running totally fine on my side, but my chat keeps freezing. It comes through, and then the chat just completely freezes, and it doesn't move. And then I can tell that it's freezing up or whatever the case is. I think it's a YouTube thing right now where I can't control that. It's not an internet problem. So, yeah, it's just a glitch or whatever.
As tensions remain high with Washington after the Middle Eastern country's bloody crackdown on nationwide protests last month. I do have that statement from Iran's president. I want to bring it to you here on your screen, and I'll read it in full. He said this, quote, in light of requests from friendly governments in the region to respond to the proposal by the President of the United States for negotiations, these negotiations shall be conducted within the framework of our national interests. In response to the request of friendly governments in the region to reply to the proposal, the President of the United States for negotiations, I have instructed the foreign minister that should any appropriate atmosphere free from threats and far from unreasonable expectations exist, he should prepare the ground for fair and equitable negotiations based on the principle of dignity, wisdom, and expediency with the framework of national interests. Back out to the image that we have of the White House as I continue to reference some more of this reporting. The announcement marked a major turn for reformist president who broadly had warned Iranians for weeks that the turmoil in his country had gone beyond his control. It also signals that the president received support from Iran's supreme leader for talks that the cleric previously had dismissed. Turkey had been working behind the scenes to make the talks happen there later this week as U.S. Mideast envoy Steve Witkoff is traveling to the region. But whether Iran and the U.S. can reach an agreement remains to be seen, particularly as President Trump now has included Iran's nuclear program in a list of demands from Tehran in any talks. The president ordered the bombing of 3 Iranian nuclear sites during the 12-day war Israel launched against Iran back in June. We'll continue to follow all of these developments and get a more up-to-date schedule on when the U.S. Middle East.
And of course, that is something that you guys know I'm going to be on top of whenever this ordeal happens with any of these countries. It's not just Iran specifically, but we're hyper-focusing on everything that the Trump administration is after or focused on right now. So, of course, I'm going to tell you guys what's happening. So, we're going to move on, though. 2 hours ago, GOP leaders seek support ahead of test vote to end partial government shutdown. So, let's go ahead and bring this up, and we will discuss it quickly. And, you know, what we do need to do, in fact, is embrace our fuck-ups, though. That's what we should do.
Don't beat yourself up over past mistakes. You are going to fuck up again in the future, quite possibly in a most spectacular fashion. Why worry about yesterday's fuck-ups when you have tomorrow's fuck-ups to look forward to? You are a fuck-up, and fucking up is part of your growth process. Embrace the process.
Facts. You got to embrace it. Back to this.
Right now, I do want to pop up this live look here over the Capitol in D.C. as the House could pass legislation as early as today to end the partial government shutdown that began over the weekend. With hours left until the shutdown, President Trump and Senate Democrats were able to work out a plan that included a 2-week extension of funding for the Homeland Security Department. Now, the House does have to approve all of this, and the shutdown will end once President Trump signs it. As you can see, we are getting reaction from all sides of the aisle here. And right now, I do want to bring in Congressman Kevin Kiley, a Republican representing California's 3rd Congressional District, to share his thoughts. Thank you so much for taking the time, Congressman, to be here with us.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And first off, did want to start by asking you essentially about...
We got a Republican Californian representative here.
About the shutdown here. What is it that you feel led to the shutdown, and what could have been done differently?
Well, we actually had bipartisan bills that passed through the House for each of these areas, including for Homeland Security. And we even had within the Homeland Security bill certain reforms and funding when it comes to immigration enforcement that have been negotiated for things like body cams and training when it comes to interactions with the public. So that made it through the House. We were on track to avoid any sort of shutdown, or at least another shutdown. But, after the tragic events in Minnesota, there was an interest on the other side of the aisle in trying to hold that up. Now, thankfully, there's been a deal reached to at least, avoid a shutdown for the next couple weeks. And so we're on it very briefly right now, but if the House is able to get this bill passed today, then it'll end without any, meaningful consequence, very much unlike the one that went on for several weeks, last year. But that means we need to pass it in the House today, and then we need to be in a position to negotiate a full year funding bill for Homeland Security within the next couple weeks.
Talking about that specifically in the Department of Homeland Security, the funding there, obviously a big topic.
That's what the topic is, the funding of Homeland Security.
Of discussion nationwide at this point, and that's essentially what it appears was holding up the bill as we were talking about. So do you support this 2-week extension and further discussions getting underway about what to do next?
I do, absolutely. I mean, I would have preferred that we had passed the full year funding bill for Homeland Security on time, as the House did, so that we would have avoided any shutdown at all. But I think this is a fine solution to say, all right, let's give ourselves a little bit of runway here to have this larger conversation where we can reach a deal that I think will include 2 elements. Number one, the sort of reforms that I just mentioned that some have been pushing for when it comes to things like training, body cams, focusing immigration enforcement in minimally disruptive ways. And then related to that, this issue when it comes to detainers and the refusal of some jurisdictions to hand over individuals who have been committed of crimes, but instead release them into the communities. If we can find some agreement on those 2 sets of issues, then I think we'll be in a good position to pass this bill, this full year bill, before this 2 weeks expires.
One thing that House Speaker Mike Johnson has talked a lot about, he has essentially said that without any Democrat support, this can pass today in the House. Do you believe that is the case?
Well, it certainly can. I think that there will be Democrats who vote for it as well. I mean, when it comes to sort of the procedural step to get the bill on the floor, a lot of times there's a very party line element to that. But when it comes to voting on the...
What's up, Brother Dean? Great to see you in the chat, my man. Hopefully you're enjoying your Topless Taco Tuesday morning so far.
The actual bill, I think you will see Democrats and Republicans both support it, as you did the Homeland Security bill just last week when we passed it through the House.
Are you hearing any sort of impacts here from constituents in your district as the shutdown happens? Again, this is a partial government shutdown. We're in day 4. So are you hearing anything from your constituents about potential impacts?
I don't think the impacts are really there yet. I mean, there may be some, but it's certainly nothing like what we saw before when we had this terrible record shutdown last year, which was absolutely unacceptable, and I was against from the very beginning. So there's a couple reasons why you're not seeing the same sort of impacts, at least not yet. Number one is that when we ended the last shutdown, there were some things that were funded for the entirety of the year. Number two, this...
He's actually getting into some good here.
This is just a partial shutdown, and the full year funding bills in some areas have been passed. And number three, it's just been a couple of days with...
Yes, about 30% of the government, essentially, it's like 31% is open, and 69% or whatever is theoretically closed right now. So it's like 2/3 closed.
The prospect that it will end today. So far, it's not any sort of catastrophe, but Congress needs to
be good out there, user.
Do the work it's supposed to do, get this bill passed today, and then make sure that we get this final full year funding bill, which will be the Homeland Security bill, passed within the next 2 weeks.
Now, last question for you here. What about SNAP funding and that sort of situation? Where do you stand on all of that?
Yeah, so during the last shutdown, that was one of the worst things that we saw, is that the SNAP funding was not there. I actually supported legislation to say that even if we're in a shutdown, let's make sure that we still have SNAP. And actually, in the continuing resolution that ended that last shutdown, SNAP was funded for the full year. So even if we had a full-fledged shutdown right now, SNAP would still be funded for the remainder of this year. So thankfully, that very bad consequence of congressional gridlock has at least been taken off the table this time around.
Congressman Kevin Kiley, thank you so much for taking the time to join us here.
Yeah, that was actually well done by him. I actually haven't heard him or his name before, so interesting. He's a Republican out of California. All right, we're moving on. Iran's president seeks, quote, fair and equitable negotiations with the United States. And we have a statement from them over there. So let's go and bring this up. Here we go. Now, Iran's president, as you guys know, is not the supreme leader, okay? Anyways, here we go.
Right now, though, we are going to stay in that region at 9 o'clock on the East Coast and 6 o'clock on the West Coast. As of right now, the president of Iran says that he's open to talks with the U.S.
What's up, Virgil? Good morning.
That could happen later this week in Istanbul. Iran's president saying earlier today that he instructed the country's foreign minister to, quote, pursue fair and equitable negotiations with the U.S. And you can see a lengthy response there coming in from the president as we watch all of this kind of play out and have been over the past several weeks.
Yeah, they went full on DEI with this, Steve Easy. Facts.
Oh, shit! Oh, shit!
Now, tensions, no doubt, do remain high there after Iran's crackdown on those nationwide protests that you see in the video here. That was last month, during which activists say more than 6,000 people were killed, and that number could potentially be even higher. The comments from Iran's president come after this weekend's threat from the country's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, saying a U.S. attack on Iran would lead to a, quote, regional war. U.S. Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff will be in the Middle East this week with several countries invited to attend talks between the two countries if they happen. I want to bring in Jason M. Brodsky, policy director at United Against Nuclear Iran, to discuss really what we can expect to happen here, because, again, there is a lot to this. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us today.
Great to be with you, Josh. Thanks.
And first off, I want to talk to you a little bit about the remarks there. We saw some lengthy remarks coming in from Iran's president. What do you make of that? Is that kind of a change of pace from what we've seen?
Well, not really. The Islamic Republic would like to lure the United States into an endless negotiating process.
Naomi.
Stop the cap.
There we go.
Because the Iranian regime benefits from such a long, protracted process. It offers protection for the regime. It insulates it from a military attack. It props up their economy with their currency plummeting. And also it demoralizes Iranians who have been taking to the streets very bravely, demanding the ouster and the fall of the Islamic Republic. So it would love nothing more than to change the channel and to talk about its nuclear program after the regime committed what many consider to be the largest massacre of Iranians in its contemporary history.
On that note, we heard from President Trump just a few weeks ago as he essentially said that he had spoken with Iranian leadership and they said that they stopped the execution of about 800 people. However, we're hearing from other sources, experts there, that those executions are actually happening. What do we know about all of that?
Those executions continue. The Iranians are being abused by the government. This is nothing new. I think the Iranians wanted to attempt to inject some disinformation into diplomatic
What's up, Joseph? Up there in Canada, my man. Great to see you in the chat, bro.
channels to provide an off-ramp to avoid and avert a military strike. And so I think we need to be very careful as to what the Iranian leadership is telling the United States. First of all, the president and the foreign minister have no control over the Iranian regime's judiciary. That reports to the supreme leader. And the judiciary officials themselves have even denied that that number is the case. So we can't trust what...
Mountain Woman, I got it for you.
Why are you gay? Oh my God! The Iranian regime delivers in diplomatic channels, and we certainly can't trust what the judiciary is saying either. And there have been very credible, independent reports of ongoing abuses happening in the Iranian system.
What about this potential meeting that could take place in Istanbul later on this week? If that happens, does that say anything about maybe where we're headed with those relations between the U.S. and Iran?
I think that this meeting is really going to be like the many other meetings the United States has had to engage in diplomacy with the Islamic Republic.
Wow, we've got some interesting news that just came up, by the way. I'm just going to let you guys know two more things that we're going to get into. One is Speaker Johnson on government shutdown day 4. It's like Groundhog Day. That's what his quote is. And then we also have Jill Biden's ex-husband charged with murder of wife.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Just came out 12 minutes ago. Holy shit. Anyways, I'm going to let this guy wrap up his last answer, whatever, here, and then we're going to move on.
The Iranian leadership, the maximum the Iranian leadership is likely to concede on any diplomatic agreement is unlikely to meet the minimum the United States is prepared to accept, and that cycle will likely continue. Iran has traditionally refused to negotiate over its missile program and also refuses to end its support for its terror proxies. And with those, if the U.S.
What's up, Organized Insanity? Good morning.
adheres to those red lines, these negotiations will likely go nowhere.
On that note, you just kind of touched on this, but what are some of the red lines here? What are the negotiating maybe issues when you're talking about the nuclear talks? Who's going to accept what the U.S.
I'm going to let him speak on this because it's a good question. And real quick, we got NPC the game up in the building. Shout out to my man Gabriel. Let's see. He says, "Good day. I swear, I can swear you had a 20v1 video on your channel." No, I do not have that. Not a 20v1.
Wants here. Can you kind of break that down for folks out there?
Sure, there are four. First is that the Trump administration has sought zero enrichment in Iran. Secondly, the Trump administration seeks to remove the stockpile of enriched uranium that was buried under rubble now after the U.S. airstrikes in June 2025 out of the country. Third is the U.S. wants limits on Iran's missile program. And fourth, the U.S. seeks to end Iran's support for terror proxies. The Iranian leadership considers those terms to effectively be regime change by agreement. And so this is a system that will not reform and will not change as long as the current leadership is in place.
Well, he is right about that, but nonetheless, we're not going to be going much further in that. We're going to move on because we've got two big stories that we need to get into right now. Good morning, Sherry, by the way. Great to see you in the chat. Hopefully you're enjoying the show so far. I definitely appreciate you guys. We got 240 some odd people in here. Make sure you guys hit the like button as well as double tap the screen. I very much appreciate it. If you guys are on the vertical side, yes, you got to double tap that screen. All right. So let's go ahead and get into Speaker Johnson on government shutdown day 4. Quote, "It's like Groundhog Day." So let's go ahead and bring this up and we'll talk about it briefly before we get into the whole Joe Biden ex-husband charged with murder thing of his then wife, whatever. Anyways.
Thank you, Steve. Well, all right. It's not on autopilot anymore.
You love doing that.
I do. It makes me feel taller. So grateful to be with you all, and I'm sorry we're in this situation again. It's like Groundhog Day in a way, the bad movie, where we come back to the same failed measures of the Democrats. It was just less than 3 months ago that they shut the government down for the longest period in history, 43 days. It was painful for so many Americans. Finally, a handful of them saw the light and helped us get the government operating again. Republicans have demonstrated over and over that we are the grown-ups in the room. We are the ones that are governing. We are the ones that are funding the government. We are the ones that are providing the vital services and trying to make government work more efficiently and effectively for everyone. After that long historic shutdown that was so painful, appropriators in both parties got together. I tip my hat to Chairman Tom Cole of the House Republican chair of the Appropriations Committee and all of our committee members, the Cardinals, the subcommittee chairs, as we call them.
What's up, sick bastard? Good morning.
All worked so well in their areas, and we got 12 separate appropriations bills passed through the House, and we had a triumphant press conference announcing that. We expected it to be on a glide path through the Senate, but of course the Democrats could not miss an opportunity to try to shut the government down again. That's what they're doing. Chuck Schumer and the Senate Democrats play games with government funding. Now, listen, the president obviously has reached out to state and local officials in the state of Minnesota. The events there have been tragic and unnecessary. He's made clear his desire to de-escalate the situation and to support an honest investigation of what's occurred there. We now have Tom Homan in charge of operations there, and he's an extraordinary leader. He has 40 years experience. He's highly decorated, has worked in Democrat and Republican administrations, and knows what he's doing. And there's more order being brought to the chaos. Now, I want to hasten to say that the chaos is because, in large measure, the local and state officials in Minnesota have not been participating with federal law enforcement operations, and they created a dangerous...
Holy shit. Are you serious? What in the hell? Damn happy to be here. Just gifted 50 Mike Ball memberships. Are you serious right now? Yo, that is humongous. What the... Man, that is... Wow, on my blood. I'm very appreciative of that. Not only for me, but obviously 50 of you guys in the IWF, man. I'm very appreciative. That's awesome. Yeah, that's a fatty right there. Very much appreciate that, you guys. Damn happy to be here. Thank you very much for that. That's very selfless.
Situation there, and that is really a big part of the problem here. The White House and the Senate continued in good faith. They've agreed to separate the Homeland Security funding bill, and that's fine. So we have 2 weeks now to negotiate in good faith on both sides. The White House and Senate Democrats are going to engage in that, but the House Republicans are as well. We have to make sure we maintain the important parameters here. We can't go down the road of amnesty. You can't, in any way, lighten the enforcement requirement of federal immigration law. That's what the American people demand and deserve. We want dangerous illegal criminals to be sent out of the country, and they've been very successful at that. But these negotiations are going to go forward. If the Democrats do insist on keeping the government shut down, their pointless obstruction is going to have no effect on border security, which we have done, we've secured, or immigration enforcement. As has been noted by the leaders here this morning, we did fund ICE operations for a few years now. So what they'll be shutting down, don't lose this, what they'll be shutting down is FEMA operations as we're cleaning up from the winter storms. They'll be shutting down TSA, which is obviously necessary to keep the country moving through our airports. Coast Guard operations. I mean, so many important functions in the Department of Homeland Security is what will be adversely affected by these partisan games. Let's hope and pray that they don't do that. Let's hope that over the next 2 weeks we can negotiate and get this done. They say they want a real negotiation with President Trump and Republicans over immigration enforcement policy, and we are happy to have that debate. And I've said in a gaggle earlier this morning that what must be a part of that discussion is the participation of blue cities in federal immigration enforcement. You can't go to a sanctuary city and pretend like the law doesn't apply there. It does. And so
What's up, Sterling Will? Great to see you in the chat.
We're going to be working through all that. Our chairwoman, McClain, talked about tax filing made easy. Last week marked the beginning of tax season, and millions of American families are working through that right now, and they're recognizing the amount of time and money spent complying with the federal tax code is going to be significantly reduced this year because of great Republican policy. Some of the things we did in the Working Families Tax Cuts, the big, beautiful bill, obviously we intended to cut taxes and to advance America First pro-growth policies, but we also sought to reduce the tax burden on Americans because we know that reform in the tax system isn't just about reducing rates. It's also about reducing the paperwork.
There's a lot of dancing around,
and the
by the way.
compliance.
It's a lot of just rhetoric. These guys don't want to fund DHS.
Burden on Americans. And you heard these stats, I'll repeat them, but they're going to save Americans 210 million hours per year in paperwork and $13 billion in compliance costs. That's real money to real people, and we're proud of that. Nobody likes paying taxes, okay? But Republicans have reduced the amount you owe and made your returns significantly easier to file. And so we're so grateful everyone's going to be able to take advantage of that.
She's right here on the couch. She's laying next on the other side of the couch this time, so you can't see her.
I just want to mention and we'll take questions. I don't think the American people need any more evidence. The Democrats want to tax the American people to death. Just check Congress.gov. You can see all the bills they filed. But if they did, they should look no further than the Democrat-run D.C. Council's decision, listen to this, to decouple the local tax code from specific federal tax provisions. So in layman's terms, what they're trying to do here, any Democrat-run city is going to lead into this kind of nonsense, but they're preventing D.C. residents from experiencing the full benefits of the Working Families Tax Cuts bill. It's almost unimaginable that they would inflict that pain upon their own constituents, but that's what they're doing. D.C. is not alone in this obstruction. You've got strongholds, Democrat strongholds like New York and Colorado and Illinois, cities there, preventing their residents from enjoying these benefits. There's no way to spin it. Blue state governors intentionally harming their own residents just because the policies were offered by a Republican administration. I mean, that's what's happening. And it's just incredible to us. Is there any stronger evidence that Republicans are the party of affordability? Democrats say one thing and they do completely the opposite. And I'm so sad for you if you live in one of those jurisdictions. It's a real problem. If this act were to become local law, D.C. residents would be prevented from claiming no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, increased standard deduction, and so much more. And it's just wrong. There's an estimated 17,000 tip workers here in the nation's capital, and the D.C. City Council is attempting to prevent them from enjoying this historic tax benefit. But House Republicans are going to work to fix it this week. We will advance Representative Gill's legislation to disapprove of that nonsense at the D.C. Council, because every American deserves to enjoy the benefits of the Republican historic tax cuts, even if you live in a Democrat stronghold. Have to take up questions. Yep, hang on. Bill, go ahead.
Thank you, Speaker Johnson. Are you confident you have the votes for this rule book to pass, and do you expect any Republican no votes at all?
I don't, and this may be hard for some of y'all to believe, but
What's up, KP? Great to see you in the chat as well. Happy Topless Taco Tuesday. Listen, we're going to take maybe 2 questions here, and then we're going to go to Joe Biden's ex-husband charged with murder of wife, dude. That's humongous news.
I never doubted this. This was not the this is not my preferred route. I wanted to keep all 6 bills together. We worked so hard to pass them through the House, and I thought that should have been a package that sailed through the Senate, got to the president's desk, so we can fund government responsibly. We're spending less money year over year, and we're returning regular order around here, and that's a commitment I made when I became Speaker, and we're finally getting it done. But listen, the president agreed with Schumer that they would separate Homeland, and we'll do that, and we'll handle it. We're going to pass the rule today. It was never in doubt to me. The Republicans are going to do the responsible thing. I did talk to Hakeem Jeffries over the weekend, and he informed me that they would not be assisting in this endeavor, and I just think that's crazy. I mean, I just think that everybody needs to look at what's happening here. One party is moving forward, by the way, with the smallest margin in U.S. history. We now have a 1-vote margin. We are still sticking together. The Republican Party is sticking together because the stakes are so high. We're governing responsibly, and we're getting the job done. And Democrats, all they do every single day here is obstruct. And you can see the record for itself. They shut the government down for 43 days, the longest in history, just last fall, and they want to do it again. And it's just crazy. And I think the American people are going to think about this hard when they go to the voting box and to the ballot box in the fall, and we decide who keeps the majority in Congress. I think they're going to give it to the grown-ups. I think the Republicans will be able to continue and grow our majority to keep governing. Otherwise, what Democrats will give you is chaos. Shutdowns. They'll shut down the federal government. They keep proving it to you over and over. So take them at their word. Jay,
Explain this. So Jeffries told you he wasn't going to help with this. Did Schumer represent something different to you in your conversations with the president? Because it seems that there's a disconnect here that's hard to square.
It is hard to square, and it's not my place to get involved in their family squabble. But I mean, I think Hakeem has made very clear I think he was upset, offended that Chuck Schumer presumed to speak for House Democrats. So you'll have to figure that out. The Democrats are in a family squabble over there, and it's not of our doing. Hold on, wait a minute. Schumer and Jeffries are from the same state. They're in the same delegation, and they seem to be having a little power struggle between the two of them. So look, I'm not trying to fuel that. You asked me the question. I don't know what's going on, but I can tell you the Republicans are united, and I'm proud of that. And this is the party that is getting the job done. So.
All right. Let's go ahead and move on. We're going to move on. Joe Biden's ex-husband charged with murder of wife. Let's go ahead and bring this up. Kind of a wild thing that just got reported 24 minutes ago. It says Joe Biden's ex-husband was charged with the murder of his wife. She was killed this past December in their Wilmington home. William Stevenson is charged with first-degree murder for the death of Linda Stevenson. Wow. All right, here we go.
Now some breaking news. Former First Lady Jill Biden's ex-husband has been charged with the murder of his wife. Here's a post here from our very own Josh Breslow as we are learning more about this. A woman died after a domestic dispute.
Real quick, we got my man Alfred Patterson coming in with the $5 on the Cash App, by the way, saying, great show, Mike. Thank you, sir. No, thank you. I very much appreciate it. Definitely goes a long fucking way, bro. Thank you for that.
You call in New Castle County this past December, and now her husband is facing charges for her killing. This is all happening in Delaware. William Stevenson, 77 years old, is charged with first-degree murder in the
death
of his 64-year-old wife, Linda Stevenson, after a weeks-long investigation. Linda was found unresponsive on the living room floor after officers responded to a home there on Idlewood Road for a domestic dispute call back in December 28th of 2025. She was pronounced dead at the scene. Now, on Monday, Williams was taken into custody at the same home. He was committed to the Howard Young Correctional Institution after failing to post $500,000 cash bail. We also do know TMZ reports that William Stevenson, Linda's husband, was previously married to the former First Lady Jill Biden, as we have been sharing here with you. He also opened a popular college bar near the University of Delaware called the Stone Balloon. But what we don't know right now is the cause and manner of Linda's death have yet to be released. So this is all just coming in here from our Fox team. And we did want to share it here with you as this is developing. Once again, former First Lady Jill Biden's ex-husband charged with the murder of his wife. We will continue to follow this here on Live Now from Fox.
All right. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, of course, all of these things we're going to be following. This is what we do Monday through Friday. And of course, members only for Saturday morning. So listen, we got 50 gifted memberships. I really can't thank you enough. Damn happy to be here. So thank you very much for that. And then Warland gifted out one as well as Sterling. So that made for 52 of you guys. Make sure you guys show up on Saturday morning. It's going to be a great time. Listen, stick around for the raid. We're going to be raiding our buddy EOD. When I went down, or went, I guess, up to Nashville Tennessee, for DebateCon. While we were there, there was a man named EOD. He's a moderator for Rob Noor. Anyways, he bought beer for everyone there without like thinking twice. He just bought it for everybody because Grid, he doesn't drink, so he's not going to provide drinks. You know what I mean? He's providing sodas, water, juices, all that shit, but alcohol, not. So anyways, we all show up and everyone's like, well, where's the beer at? You know? So he went and made like 17 fucking trips, bro. I mean, it was unreal how many times he went. I mean, I'm over exaggerating. He probably went a total of 5 times, but it was incredible. He took a crew of guys. I mean, it was great. So go over there, show him a little love, let him know that we're coming through with the Mike Ball / Insane Wheels raid. But listen, we'll be back tomorrow morning for more of the World's Madness. Until then, God bless everyone, and we'll see you guys here tomorrow morning for more of the World's Madness. God bless everyone. Be safe.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges, a host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart, steel, and a spirit unbroken, he rides on 2 wheels, ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar,